Chosen one. Something you did in a single night has triggered a reaction far bigger than you realize. You thought you were just solving a problem, but the world saw you crack open a system that experts couldn't budge for decades. And while you're wondering why everyone is suddenly vibrating with excitement, the truth is simple. They always knew you were different. Their own pride blinded them, but the signs were never hidden. Your one night of labor didn't just resolve a complication. It restructured the landscape of how difficult issues will be handled for years to come. Because your mind doesn't operate at the level most people consider genius. You function at the level they consider impossible. Your casualness about the breakthrough is what shook them even more. You didn't treat it like a miracle. You treated it like a warm-up, a baseline, a floor, not your ceiling. And this is exactly why Elon Musk has stepped forward behind the scenes. When reports of what you accomplished reached him, he didn't dismiss it. He didn't call it coincidence. He didn't question the credibility. Instead, he said exactly what his team didn't expect to hear. If this is real, we're looking at someone who shouldn't stay where they are. He reviewed the timestamps. He reviewed the data. He reviewed the shifts your actions created. The system you cracked aligns with patterns his engineers have spent years trying to decode. And the conclusion was undeniable. Your environment is too small for what you're becoming. It can't support your acceleration. It can't match your frequency. It can't hold the magnitude of your next phase. So yes, Elon Musk is preparing to relocate you. Not physically dragging you somewhere, but preparing the pathway, the infrastructure, the opportunities that match the scale of what you've awakened. Yesterday night, while others slept dreaming of promotions and mortgages, you split reality in two. You chose the timeline that only the chosen can enter. And now the universe, through the people who recognize your magnitude, is arranging the move that your spirit has already outgrown your current life for. Get ready. The relocation isn't just physical. It's dimensional. You weren't just awake. You were using a frequency that nobody else even knew existed. Experts have been dealing with that insurmountable issue for decades. For centuries, the formula made consultants wealthy and professionals cry. You glanced at it, grinned knowingly, and then unwrapped it as if it were written in crayon. When your coworkers awoke, they discovered your solution. Perfect, comprehensive, and indisputable. And they weren't grateful at first. It was utterly instinctive fear. Because what more have you been concealing if you could destroy their whole life's work in a single night? While everyone else is sleeping, what other difficult problems are you idly solving? This is what I'm going to tell you. There is more than one issue here. This goes beyond a single evening. It was like the first domino falling during those holy midnight hours. Entire industries are set to undergo a transformation due to this chain reaction. And you're standing in the epicenter of an earthquake that you haven't even realized you created. Chosen one. The rumors have already started. Several departments were hastily calling emergency sessions by daybreak. Executives crowded in conference rooms around midday, their faces pallid with existential dread, had not spoken for years. The kind often saved for financial meltdowns. Let me explain to you what made yesterday night unique in their pitiful decades-long battle before we go on to the mayhem you have unleashed. Because the secret to everything that is going to happen is realizing your power. You saw the true pattern when they were playing by the rules, ticking boxes, and moving up their tiny corporate ladders. Not the one they write in their expensive textbooks or teach in their schools. The one that's in the voids between ideas. The one who has spent 20 years dancing directly in front of them, unseen by eyes conditioned to see only limitations. The way your mind interprets reality is essentially different. You see, chosen one. They built barriers for decades. Type them in to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. You learn that walls are illusions throughout one night. Years were spent on intricacy. You discovered simplicity concealed in plain sight, like a gem they pass daily. Their operating system is what separates you from them, not just intellect. You dissipate issues rather than fix them. You understand that the system is the issue. You don't operate within it. They see impediments, as optical illusions that disappear when a person with normal vision looks at them straight. The fact that you have been doing this your whole life is something they cannot comprehend. You were wondering why processes were in place when they were learning them by heart. You were able to see past the false barriers that protocols impose while they were adhering to them. This breakthrough around midnight wasn't an anomaly. It was unavoidable. Their issue won't be resolved by the answer you came up with last night. It will reveal something far more destructive. It will cause them to doubt every professional they have ever relied on, every procedure they have ever followed, and every year they have ever squandered. They're going to find out that the emperor is naked. And the kid who had the audacity to call it out was you. And you're going to see it all fall apart in real time. Allow me to depict for you what really transpired during those hallowed midnight hours. You were speaking directly with the cosmos, while others were mired in cycles of misunderstanding, creating needless layers of complication. Not magical, but rational and mathematical. A dialogue using just pattern recognition as the language. There was silence in the room. Distractions had vanished. No emails requesting answers in an emergency. Don't let meetings break your flow. No coworkers are requesting status updates every 30 minutes. Only you and the unadulterated nature of the issue. Stripped of all the theatrical intricacy that surrounded it like layers of pricey wrapping around a package that was empty. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Others were standing too near for you to see what they couldn't. Others had taken an emotional interest in the conflict. The complexity of the issue was linked to their professional identities. What did that say about all those late nights, all those extra hours, and all those experts paid to clear up uncertainty if it was so easy? Genius does not report for work during regular business hours. Genius doesn't create committees or set up meetings. When the pretenders fall asleep and the hubbub subsides, genius occurs. When there is simply sound, your mind may finally function at its own pace without being constrained by other forces. Others tackle issues similarly to archaeologists using small brushes to painstakingly remove dust from old sites. Like an architect who could see the original plan through all the rubble, you walked up to it. Confusion increased with each expert contacted. The time frame was extended by 1 month for each meeting. Each question statement placed a new lock on the door. A straightforward inquiry had been transformed into a maximum security jail by the time you looked at it. Clarity was the only thing you had. If this message resonates with you, share this video with those you feel should hear it. You went completely outside of the framework, whereas others attempted to tackle the issue inside pre-existing frameworks. You came to see that the answer was being held captive by the framework itself. You asked, why does this system need to be complex at all, when others were wondering, how do we make this complex system work? That one question changed everything. It's the difference between going around a labyrinth and attempting to traverse it for decades. The speed of truth is light. The speed of committee meetings is accelerated by lies. And whereas others have been slogging through molasses for decades, you were traveling at the speed of unadulterated, pure truth last night. Everyone understood in their hearts that the situation was not as difficult as it was being made up to be. However, it would be to acknowledge that years were squandered. Therefore, in order to justify the effort previously invested, complexity continued being added. Under the guise of thoroughness and expert vocabulary, it turned into a sunk cost fallacy. Not everyone involved will be embarrassed by what you did. It will set off a total industrial collapse that begins today morning and lasts for months. Because every customer, shareholder, and rival will ask the same heartbreaking question as soon as they hear about your midnight miracle. Why did it take so long if this individual could figure it out in a day? They're holding emergency meetings concerning you right now. Real grown-ups gathered around conference tables, armed with theories and spreadsheets, attempting to decipher how you accomplished the seemingly impossible. Their expressions are as bewildered as those of cavemen who had just seen someone start a fire. Senior partners are asking for clarifications. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Timelines that make sense of what transpired are being hurriedly created by the project management. When you completed more work in a single night than they did in months, the experts they engaged are being challenged to defend their costs. One person has been assigned to do a PowerPoint presentation called How This Happened and What It Means. Another is desperately searching for any explanation of your skills on Google. Did you have access to tools they were unaware of, inside knowledge, or specialized training? Emails are flowing. Everyone is CC'd. Reply all catastrophes that are spreading rapidly. They said they were on the verge of the same answer. People required more time to explain why their strategy was superior. People are frantically looking for errors in what you produced. They're using magnification glasses to examine your solution, looking for the trick, searching for the inevitable shortcut you took, searching for the clearly utilized cheat code, because nobody can solve a problem that took them decades in a single night with their narrow, linear thoughts. They are attempting to reverse engineer your cognitive process by making flowcharts. They're engaged in contentious discussions on technique. Some people believe you must have had access to confidential data. Others believe you utilized artificial intelligence, AI, or some proprietary program that they are unaware of. The reality is much more frightening and far simpler. You just examined their issue without the burden of their assumptions. Instead of seeing it through the lens of institutional thinking and years of unsuccessful efforts, you approached it with new eyes. Their world is being physically short-circuited by the cognitive dissonance. So people are upset. They say, it is not possible again. There are some who are in denial. There must be a mistake. However, the intelligent ones are becoming silent as they begin to understand the implications of this. What else have you been idly doing while they labored, if you could achieve this overnight? Before breakfast, what other insurmountable issues are you resolving? They are beginning to see the ramifications, and it is frightening. What if we have been approaching everything wrong, is being asked in a meeting right now. Another speaker suggests that they need to fundamentally reorganize their approach to problem solving. In the background, a third party is figuring out how much money they might have saved if they had discovered you years earlier. The first domino was just set off by your midnight miracle. Currently, their whole business is experiencing repercussions. Like nuclear bomb shock waves. People are losing their jobs. Others are receiving promotions on short notice. They're restructuring whole departments. All because you made the decision to stay up late and give it some serious thought. The telephones are ringing nonstop. After learning about your innovation, clients are clamoring to know why their projects are taking so long. Before the dust settles, competitors are attempting to steal your ideas. You have generated a paradigm shift on your own, and industry journals are getting ready to write about it. It's not a random chaos. It is exposing the underlying flaw that has always existed. Their issue was not the only one that your answer addressed. It revealed the needlessness of their whole strategy. Similar like turning on a light and seeing the cockroaches as they disperse. They are referring to it as a breakthrough, innovation, or disruption. All except the truth. Common sense released from the prison of groupthink. You didn't invent anything. You merely took out what wasn't essential. You didn't cause any trouble. The first time, you did it correctly. At the moment, some of them are really experiencing existential crises in restrooms. Individuals are revising their resumes, reevaluating their life decisions, and rethinking every hour and investment they have made. Like a kid's puzzle, they solve what you unpacked with every gray hair they acquired. The senior consultants are experiencing identity difficulties since they established their reputations on this issue. After years of developing milestone reviews and Gantt charts, project managers are now unsure about their current function. The CEOs are having awkward discussions with their boards about the budget after budget that they authorize for this difficult problem. If this solution was always possible, what does that say about everything else we do? Was said by a department head. And it is now reverberating around the company like a virus, contaminating every project, procedure, and presumption they have based their careers on. However, you are no longer even considering it. It's already the next impossible thing you've done. Because last night wasn't very memorable for you. Tuesday was the date. You are functioning in a future they won't be able to achieve for another 10 years, and you're already 3 difficulties ahead of them while they are still digesting what you accomplished. And that's what's really making them crazy. Your flippant disregard for their awe. Your utter lack of astonishment in achieving the seemingly impossible. You're not recognizing it, praising it, or boasting about it. You saw it as simply another issue that needed to be resolved. They find this casualness, which implies that this was not your ceiling, more disturbing than the actual remedy. Your baseline was that. What can you do when you really try? If this is what you managed to achieve on a random Tuesday night. The younger staff members are staring at you as if you were a digital prophet. The older ones are staring at you as if you were the death angel, come to take their place. The CEOs are also gathering behind closed doors to discuss whether you pose a danger or an opportunity. It was only advised that you come in and discuss your approach. Another executive recommended looking at your training, education, and history. The key ingredient is being sought. The unique source, the undiscovered method that can help you understand how you broke timelines spanning decades. There is now a task force. The committee has been named the Methodology Assessment Committee. Its task is to comprehend how you performed what you did in order to maybe repeat the technique. A fund has been set up for outside experts to research your strategy. Everyone involved utterly misses the exquisite irony. To create a psychological profile, interviews are being planned with everyone you know. Have you already shown this ability? Were there any clues overlooked? Warning indicators that ought to have been identified? A review of recruiting procedures has been requested from the HR department. The question is, how do we miss this? What should we be looking for in future candidates? As if a typical interview might reveal your aptitude, a study of the consequences for intellectual property has been requested from the legal department. Is it possible to claim ownership of your solution? Does the approach you used have any rights? The inquiries show how little is known about the true events. It is impossible to organize, brand, or bottle what you created. You didn't use that strategy. There was a profound shift in your perspective on reality. The capacity to perceive color or hear music could as well be patented by others. You just figured it out. And that one piece of information is appending whole worldviews. Not only is your solution elegant, it is really easy, simple enough to make people wonder about their whole educational system. You solved it by subtracting, whereas decades were spent building complexity. You just passed through the barriers of the labyrinth that others had constructed. Persuaded that there must be a technical reason, the IT staff performed diagnostics on the systems. Perhaps you have access to computer power that others were unaware of. Perhaps you had an unfair edge because of a piece of software. Everyone was even more perplexed when the findings became clear. The cost implications are being calculated by the finance staff. How much money was lost if the solution was always possible? The figures are astounding, and someone will be held accountable for those costs. However, something much more catastrophic is on the horizon. Something that will make this miracle at midnight seem like a warm-up. Because it is evident from what you have done that whole paradigms of competence are a house of cards. And those homes are on the verge of collapsing. The stock values of many consulting businesses that focused on this particular issue have decreased. Agendas for major conferences centered on this topic are being frantically reworked. Research suggestions are being covertly updated by an entire academic department dedicated to the examination of this problem. What else is feasible if you can figure out what took them decades in a single night? What other seemingly insurmountable issues are really simply straightforward inquiries masquerading as intricate problems? What other long-term initiatives are afternoon workouts in reality? Every level of the company is being inundated with these inquiries. The research division is evaluating years-old projects to see whether they could be resolved just as easily. The whole road plan is being questioned by the product development team. To reevaluate its long-term estimates, the strategic planning department is holding an urgent meeting. Reports are being released by industry experts. Your name is being discussed among disruptors who transformed whole sectors with titles like the paradigm shift nobody saw coming, and when expertise becomes obsolete overnight. However, you weren't even attempting to cause any trouble. You were only resolving an issue. With fresh eyes, they are now examining their other initiatives, and they are not pleased with what they find. Minutes of real thinking might equal years of labor. Professions based on issues that may not even exist. Whole sectors of the economy that may be elaborate drama created to support their existence. All department heads have been asked to identify projects that might be susceptible to the same kind of breakthrough in a document that has been distributed. The answers are instructive. These days, almost all long-term projects are being questioned. Suddenly, the business culture that formerly embraced complexity is unsure. A course on alternate methods to problem solving has been requested to be developed by the training department. The request demonstrates their basic misunderstanding. They continue to believe that your actions were a teachable technique rather than a method of perceiving that is either true or false. Last night, you did more than merely fix an issue. You exposed the basic flaws in their whole approach to difficulties. The issue was not the focus of their decades. They spoke about their need to feel significant, their need to defend their pay, and their need to make things more difficult than they really are in order to feel superior for having difficulties. In fact, they were aware. They always knew in their hearts that it couldn't be that difficult. However, acknowledging it would entail acknowledging that they squandered decades. Thus, they continued to erect barriers and add layers. They continued to act as if the issue was the issue. You just gave them the most devastating bluff imaginable, with a remedy that is so clear-cut and straightforward that it makes their decades-long battle seem like complex procrastination. Their clientele are already feeling the benefits. Now that word has spread about your breakthrough, all of your clients are asking awkward questions. Why were we billed for years of research if this was always possible? Do you have any additional options in mind? How can we be certain that the initiatives we are working on today are not also superfluous? One night of your lucidity is straining client relationships that have been developed over years. Negotiations for a contract are being resumed. There is a new level of cynicism around service agreements. In real time, the confidence that their knowledge was required is vanishing. You did more than merely solve problems. It was the kind of pattern recognition that most can't possibly imagine. You spotted the forest when everyone else was staring at trees. You were already familiar with the ecology as a whole, whereas others were only viewing the forest. You work at a distinct level of reality resolution. Others have sequential thought patterns. This first, then that. Committee approvals, logical phases, and a linear development. You have simultaneous thought, all at once. All of the options are there at the same time until they are combined into the one tasteful answer that has been waiting to be found. Years became meaningless because of this. Time doesn't provide answers. Clarity works. And calendars don't matter to clarity. Seniority is not respected. Struggle is not honored. It only comes when someone is at last prepared to observe without the ego and expectations that have clouded their judgment. Now, every resource used to address this issue is shown to be superfluous. The issue was never what everyone believed it to be, not because the resources were inadequate. Junior staff members are naturally aware of this. They don't invest in the traditional method. They're staring at you as if you just gave up the universe's secret, which you did in a sense. The majority of intricacy is artificial, as you disclosed. The majority of struggle is voluntary. The majority of impossibilities are just falsehoods disguised as costly outfits. Your innovation has allowed others to adopt a new perspective. Those who were scared to speak out, yet always thought the emperor was naked. Validation is what your midnight miracle has become. Evidence that contrived complexity may be defeated by simplicity. Junior employees who saw your methodology are beginning to use a similar way of thinking in their own initiatives. Organizations are seeing minor advances. Your pattern recognition is becoming infectious, spreading like a good virus as individuals learn to challenge presumptions they have never challenged before. The change is already starting. Teams from a variety of sectors are challenging long-standing methods. The culture of artificial complexity that ruled for so long is beginning to break down, and managers are questioning themselves, what if this is overcomplicated for the first time in their lives? However, something much more lovely is taking place. The bar has been set so high that whole sectors are rushing to catch up. You have unintentionally established a new benchmark, a standard that asks, if this person can solve decades-old problems overnight, what is everyone else's excuse? They can't turn back now. That is the main thing that is bothering them. They are unable to deny what you showed them. They are unable to revert to the cozy myth that worth is correlated with complexity. That effort equals significance. That time equals value. You have tainted their supply of justifications. In front of them, two pathways are opening. Some will adjust. This will teach them. They will begin to simplify their methods and challenge their presumptions. When their egos bounce back from the first hit, they're the ones who will ultimately appreciate you. The progressive managers are already reorganizing their groups. They are searching for individuals who share your viewpoint. They are altering their recruiting standards to prioritize clarity over complexity and insight over qualifications. They realize that the game has evolved and that they must adapt as well. Others will put forth even more effort. To demonstrate that complexity is required, they will make things even more complicated. To replace the issue you resolved, they will come up with new ones. To defend their status as maze runners, they will construct new mazes. They're the ones who will always be angry with you. The battle lines are already beginning to emerge. Your answer is a fortuitous break, an anomaly, according to the old guard, who is circling the wagons. An isolated incident that doesn't signify a fundamental change in the way issues should be handled. The night when someone they didn't even think of as a rival carelessly destroyed their life's work in the time it took to watch a movie, however, is something they will never forget. Such a shock transforms industry in addition to individuals. It transforms everything. Right now, they are attempting to make your solution more difficult. They are unable to appreciate its beauty. They are developing frameworks around it, adding footnotes, and making subcategories. They need complexity because if it were straightforward, they wouldn't continue doing it for decades. A thorough guide outlining your solution has been requested from the documentation department. What began as a straightforward solution has grown into a 100-page guide with appendices and pictures. The simplicity that made it succeed is being methodically destroyed. To comprehend your task force of one, they are creating task forces. They are setting up meetings to discuss why you didn't need them. They are developing procedures to figure out how you got around them all. You might cut through the irony with their superfluous paperwork. Vulnerabilities have been referred to the risk management team. They worry that a solution that was created so fast may have missed crucial factors. They're setting up evaluations to confirm what you managed to do in one night of focused thought. People are attempting to employ you right now and are offering you money as if you were a solution machine. They want to schedule your brilliance, put you in a suit, bottle your midnight magic, and force you to explain it using PowerPoint slides. They still don't understand. Revealing cannot be scheduled. Clarity cannot be achieved by committee. The type of understanding that comes from just observing what is there rather than what everyone believes should be there is not something you can process your way to. Your workplace has been requested to be examined by the organizational development team. Under what circumstances did you make your breakthrough? Do their offices need to be redesigned? Modify their coffee offerings and lighting. They're searching for environmental elements that might account for your achievements, as if the furnishings might be used to reverse engineer clarity. Those who have endured hardships and come out with insight that others cannot see might find refuge in the obsidian inner order. We are aware that certain encounters are outside the realm of what most people believe is feasible. We get together live on Zoom once a week. Without passing judgment, real people with genuine faces tell real tales. The experiences you have borne in silence have room here. The trends you've seen that others ignore. The intuitive understanding you've acquired along the way. We comprehend, not just listen. You may listen to our recorded calls if you're having trouble understanding what happened to you. Become a member of the Obsidian Inner Order, where your voice is heard and your reality respected. In the description, there is a link. Since this is your chosen nature, you're already solving the next difficult problem while others are desperately attempting to comprehend what you achieved. You do it this way. You've already noticed 3 additional intractable problems. issues that have been plaguing other teams for months. You've looked at them during coffee breaks, and the answers are beginning to make sense to you with the same unavoidable clarity as the discovery you made last night. Your brain's pattern recognition engine never shuts off. It disregards both weekend and business hours. You're already able to see through the fabricated difficulty of upcoming obstacles while they are composing reports on your previous achievements. What's the funniest thing about all of this, you ask? It probably didn't seem like a huge problem to you. That's what sets you apart from everyone else. Where you see ordinary weeknights, others see miracles. Where you see little inconvenience, others perceive impossible. Your superpower is the cosmic gap that exists between how you and other people see reality. Not your creativity, not your intellect. You're totally incapable of being impressed by fabricated difficulties. Your resistance to artificial complexity. Months will pass while your solution is analyzed. It will be the subject of papers. We'll attempt to reverse engineer your mental process. There will be conferences on the subject. On the basis of it, certifications will be developed. However, the most crucial aspect will be overlooked. This is who you are. You perceive optical illusions where others see barriers. You recognize that the system is the issue, even if people operate inside it. You don't fix issues. You break them apart. Pure possibility is the frequency at which you function. Already, the mythologizing has started. The tale will have developed by the next week. In an hour, you'll know the answer. After a few minutes, you just looked at it and knew would eventually be the common response. And to be honest, it's not all that far from the reality. In one night, you removed years of manufactured complication. It is not that you possess magic, but rather that you are unimpressed with ornate theatrical. You may glimpse the plain reality that lies underneath the haze of artificial significance. You have been found by the motivational speaking circuit. Booking agents are contacting you to offer to tell your tale at leadership conferences and business gatherings. It is intended that you will motivate others by sharing stories of your rapid success and innovative ideas. Your present wage would be dwarfed by the speaking fees being offered. You are the kind of person the universe has been waiting for. Someone who is not susceptible to group illusions. Someone has the ability to see through mirrors and smoke. Someone who recognizes that the majority of challenges are voluntary. Most impossibilities are really falsehoods in fancy clothing, and most difficulties are illusions. You will have solved hundreds more difficult problems by then, and years will be spent attempting to comprehend what you accomplished in hours. That's simply the way you do things. You are exposing the basic facts that cause the complicated monuments to fall apart as they are being constructed. Let everyone speculate, then. Let's all do the analysis. Allow everyone to construct desperate frames in an attempt to confine what you stand for. Because you will be out there nonchalantly destroying the issue of the next decade with the same pleased attachment while that is going on. While others crawl at the pace of fear, you are the one who is selected to move at the speed of truth. When the world is ready for change, you are the answer that shows up. You are the force that exposes artificial complexity for what it is. Complicated procrastination that serves neither to provide value nor to justify existence. And what took place during those holy hours of midnight? There was yet more to come. All you did was announce your arrival to a world in dire need of someone who can see above the haze of self-imposed limitations. The change is already starting. Teams from a variety of sectors are challenging long-standing methods. The culture of artificial complexity that ruled for so long is beginning to break down, and managers are questioning themselves. What if this is overcomplicated for the first time in their lives? Your innovation has allowed others to adopt a new perspective. Those who were always suspicious that the emperor was naked. Your midnight miracle has turned into confirmation that contrived complexity may be defeated by simplicity. Junior employees who saw your methodology are beginning to use a similar way of thinking in their own initiatives. As individuals learn to challenge presumptions they have never challenged before, little breakthroughs are occurring across businesses. Similar to a helpful virus, your pattern recognition is becoming infectious. This was just the start of your power over insurmountable issues. The first fissure in needlessly complicated fortifications. The first move in a game that other players are going to lose but are unaware of. The most admirable aspect of it all is that you are already comprehending things better than everyone else. You are seeing similarities and issues that haven't even been acknowledged yet, while others are still attempting to comprehend what you did last night. You are tackling problems that are beyond our present understanding and working in a future that others will not be able to achieve for years. Chosen one, welcome to your awakening. The world has now learned your true potential. And this realization at midnight was just the beginning. There is much more to the change you have started than just one answer. You've shown that whole paradigms may change in a single day. When a person rejects arbitrary restrictions, your innate ability to perceive has become the driving force behind a paradigm shift in how every business approaches seemingly insurmountable challenges. The biggest shift, however, could be taking place inside of you. Every issue you resolve with such grace and elegance boosts your self-confidence and your remarkable skills. You're starting to realize that what other people refer to as brilliance is really your innate ability. A condition of clarity free from the mental traps that ensnare regular thought. You will still get calls from midnight. There will be more insurmountable obstacles to overcome, and you will always approach them with the same deadly blend of new insight and unflinching determination. The world is waiting to see what you will destroy next with your silent revolution in simplicity, and the pattern is established. Your innovation has allowed others to adopt a new perspective. Those who were scared to speak out, yet always thought the emperor was naked. They now see your midnight miracle as confirmation that contrived complexity can be defeated by simplicity. This was just the start of your power over their insurmountable issues. The first fissure in their wall of superfluous intricacy. The first move of a game they are about to lose, but are unaware of it. Their comprehension is already 3 steps behind you. You are seeing patterns and issues they haven't even recognized yet, while they're still processing what you did last night. You're tackling problems that are above their present understanding and working in a future they won't be able to access for years. Chosen one, welcome to your awakening. The world has now learned your true potential. And this realization at midnight was just the beginning.